Hello and welcome to this overview of the CPA exams brought to you by Passing Score, where you can get more help on your exam prep at PassingScoreFinance.com. Well, let's get started with, first of all, what are the requirements for taking a CPA exam? Now, it does differ depending on what state you're in, but generally the requirements are a bachelor's degree plus 1 year of study for a total of 150 semester units is what they're looking for here. You'll have to forward your transcripts to the State Board of Accountancy, and the fees generally range between $500 to $800. Once you're approved, you'll get an NTS or a notice to schedule, which will give you a window for the next 6 months to take the exam in. These exams are offered at Prometric locations. Prometric's a private company that does all kinds of license exams and other types of test taking services. You can find them at prometric.com/CPA, where you can find their location that's nearest you and set up an exam date when you're ready to go. A few other things about the exam. There's a blackout date. You can't take the exam during the last month of each quarter. So March, June, September, or December are out. You need a score of 75 to pass, but that's not 75% since the questions are not equally weighted. They get harder or easier as you go through the exam. So it's a score of 75, not 75%. And you need to finish all four parts within 18 months is your window to get it done in. Now you might be wondering, where do I go to sign up for the test anyway? Well, there's a website that'll help you, the nasba.org. Here's the URL. That's the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy. You should get to a website that looks like this. Lower on the site, you'll see a list of all the different states. Just click on your state and it'll take you to the forms you need to submit and the particular requirements of your state's exam to take an exam in your state. Let's get into the exam itself. The structure of the exam is broken down into these four parts, and it's a total of 14 hours of tests altogether. There's three testlets or groups of multiple choice questions. The BEC and REG have 24 questions each for a total of 72. FAR and Audit have 30 questions per testlet for a total of 90. And there's also simulation tasks that you'll have to complete within each section. BEC is 85% weighted towards multiple choice. The rest have 60% multiple choice, 40% are weighted towards the tasks. BEC is also different in that it's the only section with a written part to it. So you'll have to write a letter or memo responding to a client, and they'll give you a little scenario in which you'll have to pick out certain items in there. And what they're looking for is very professional, very well articulated writing. So be very concise, clear, and well organized. If you use an intro, a body, and a conclusion, that structure should work very well. And they're not looking for bullet points or certain key phrases. They're looking for complete sentences here. So they want a very, what you would use at work, a professional type of writing. Let's look at the BEC topics. BEC has just about everything but accounting going on with it. You have economics, finance, operations management, IT topics, security, that sort of thing. And you can see the weighting here is pretty evenly distributed. So you can't just key in on one or two topics here unless you need to refresh on a certain area that you're weaker in. So you'll have to go through all of these pretty well. The next topic is reg or regulation, and it might as well be called the tax section because most of it is tax of various kinds, along with business law and ethics as well. Next, we have FAR, or Financial Accounting and Reporting, and here we have the meat and potatoes of our accounting study. How the standards work, all the financial statement structures, the key things to know about specific transactions and what disclosures each types of those transactions will require. That there's a lot of those, so you'll need to study those very well, along with some of the other types of accounting, such as government, nonprofit, non-government, that sort of thing. And finally, we have our audit section. So here we're going to need to know understanding what the different opinions are, how to set up an engagement, understanding the company and how it works, and then all the procedures for the different types of testing and evidence that we need to do. So this kind of lends itself to a lot of memorization of those steps that we need to follow depending on the scenario that they give you. A good thing to know here would be also to memorize the opinion language. That's a key part of all of the responses, and so that's a very good thing to memorize, to know that opinion language very well. And we also have our review engagements and professional responsibilities. Now, a few broad tips on the CPA exam. It's not just US GAAP, it's covering international accounting rules through IFRS and SEC rules as well, which is very important for publicly traded companies. Now, the simulations are little scenarios, so they can be very time consuming as you read through all of the detail. So, as many practice tests as you can do would be very helpful to help you get used to managing your time so those don't you don't get caught up in those and end up being short. The task-based simulations involve spreadsheets, there's different forms, and you have to research things on the accounting literature as well. And as we mentioned before, the questions get more or less difficult depending on how you do. So you might think it's kind of hard if you start to get difficult questions in the second or third testlet, but you could see that as a very good sign, since that could mean that you've done very well on the first or second testlet. And one or two of the simulations will usually be a research problem. Now, here at Passing Score, we have some apps to help you out, to help you memorize and go through all the material when you have free time. You can get out your phone during your commute, while you're waiting in line somewhere. You can review all of the material through our four different apps for each section. And then we did one with all four together. And you don't have to worry about the timing because we offer free updates. These aren't the 2013, 2014, or just 2015. They're constantly updated to be current. This includes formulas, a lot of those financial ratios we go over, and then things like this sum of years digits, which you see in this screenshot from one of the apps. These are also universal, so you buy one and it's good for your iPhone and iPad both. And finally, how do you get your CPA certification and or license? Well, with our help, you'll pass the CPA exam. You need 12 months of general accounting experience and or 500 hours and 24 months of attest experience, depending on the state and if you're looking for certification or license. There's also, you can call it a fifth exam. This is an ethics requirement that most states actually require. This is the professional ethics for CPAs, but don't worry, it's a self-study requirements, and generally you don't have to go back to Prometric to take that. Most states require fingerprint identification and a background check as well, and the CPA is granted by each state's Board of Accountancy. You don't have to become a member of the AICPA or your state CPA membership. Those are optional, but there are a lot of benefits to that, not the least of which is networking. In order to keep your certification or license, you also need to keep up with continuing education. For most states, that's between 20 and 40 hours and includes an ethics course as well. There's a lot of things that qualify for that continuing education, so you shouldn't worry too much about that. It can be a self-study material. There's internet training that qualifies. Uh, Most of your employers probably offer some type of training or review or lectures. And then outside classes that you take or other providers can qualify for that continuing education as well. Well, that's it for our overview of the CPA exams. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at john@passingscorefinance.com. And good luck on your exam.